Welcome to my channel. My name is Emmy from Emmy Evolving. If this is your first time joining me, thank you for finding me. If this is not your first time, thank you for coming back. So, about to do a reading for everyone. Happy Monday. I hope everyone had an amazing weekend. Let me just pin this hair back because it's irritating me. So, alrighty. Hair is now pinned back. Let me finish getting these cards ready. Uh-oh. My internet's acting up. All right. It is what it is. I can't see anyone's comments, so it is what it is. Let me just focus on getting these cards ready. So when I asked what this reading was going to be about, what I heard is you have earned these blessings. There is something that you put a lot of effort into that's taken a lot of your time, a lot of your energy, and whatever it is that's happening, it's in your favor. Give me 1 second, guys. Just got to make sure that. Can you guys hear me? Okay. Okay. So, you know what? Okay, I'm going to just reset my energy and get myself centered once again. All right. Just okay. So, support that you deserve. We've got something that you can use. Staying connected. Okay. So lots of messages coming through, right? It's been quite a few days of intensity, quite a few days of just everything that's needing to happen, happening. A lot of recommitment of your time, your effort. For some of you, this has been something very, very just prominent. For others, it's something that has kind of gone below the radar for you. You haven't really been noticing what's happening. You just feel these changes. You sense all of this shifting. You don't know what it means. And because you don't know what it means, it's kind of like, what's happening? What is it that's happening? Well, you've been earning blessings for quite some time now. It's been, I would even guesstimate for some of you, it's been a year and a half, maybe, that you've been working really, really diligently to correct certain things, to allow yourself to get to a space where you're letting yourself receive. And that has to count for something. It has to count for something. Now, I know for many of you, you're probably thinking like, Emmy, I've just been living my life. I don't feel like I've done anything profound. The act of truly living is something that's very profound in itself. I don't know if you realize that. The act of truly living, being very present. It's a lot. It's a lot. So soul has been trying to speak to you for some time. Soul has been trying to communicate some type of message, and maybe you haven't been hearing it. Maybe you haven't been allowing yourself to hear it. Maybe you've been so preoccupied with all sorts of nonsensical things, distractions, really, distractions that are cultivating a strength inside you that you haven't been able to pause long enough to actually see, to actually sense the message, right? I know for many of us, as we're approaching the eclipse. I got a lot of things that I'm about to share on TikTok later today. A lot of things, a lot of information. Um, I think that as we are approaching the eclipse, we're approaching also Mercury retrograde. A lot of things are going haywire. And these things that are going haywire are actually assisting with realigning what is for you. If you allow yourself to be reignited, for some of us, we're being triggered. For others of us, we're being pressured. For others, everything's kind of just floating along, and we're not quite realizing what's happening. That's okay. No matter how you're experiencing this period, there is something that's being done for you, right? Ugh. Hmm. Okay. Mm. Mm-mm-mm. Give me a second, please. Um. Mm. Okay. Mhm. I know. I know. I have 2 options. Um, I thought I had 3, but I have 2 options. Because faking it is not gonna work, clearly. I could either end this live stream, which Michael says is cowardly, or I could simply acknowledge. I just really don't want to live stream right now. And I'm trying to force myself to. Um And sometimes what you have to do is just kind of force yourself to go through the motions of what needs to be done. You don't always have the luxury of just shrinking back into your shell. That sometimes life will require a part of you to emerge from your shell that you're not quite comfortable allowing to emerge yet. So, um, if you guys can bear with me sounding ugly and making ugly faces, I will go ahead and continue. So, carrying forward. There's something that's being invoked on your behalf, something that you don't understand, something that will take you to the next part of your life. And whatever this is, it has to be very agitating. It has to. Unfortunately, it has to, because too much of your power has been allowed to settle into the crevices, has been allowed to settle to the very, very bottom where it doesn't serve you. And what's happening during this period is a tremendous amount of agitation. So there's something that's being initiated, and you have to call yourself, that part of you, forward. The part of you that has the capacity to utilize your voice, acknowledge your needs, the part of you that was created for this portion of your journey. It has to be allowed to come forward. It has to. And all of the things, all of the people, the connections that you're going to need for this part to better understand yourself, to better understand what needs to happen. Those connections are going to be brought forward because you're being situated by soul to create something new for yourself. A new circumstance, new opportunities, things that will allow you to recognize how strong you are. I'm sorry, Michael is totally in my ear. Some people think it's just so nifty to have an angelic in your ear, to have access to Archangel Michael, and it is a mixed bag of experiences, I tell you that much. Angelics are painted as cherubic at times, just very angelic. All right. Humans have this concept of what angels are like, and they really are nothing like what humans are programmed to believe they are. And so Michael's in my ear right now saying, if you're a quitter, go ahead and quit. That if I really want to quit, then go ahead and quit. But just make sure that I say it out loud, what I'm doing and why, and acknowledging that I'm quitting. And I know what he's doing. He's trying to make me angry so that I do the opposite of what he's saying. Whenever life gets difficult, you need to begin asking yourself, what message am I missing? Because the reality is this. He's saying, if you want to quit, go ahead, quit. Be a quitter. Be a quitter, but just make sure you verbalize that you're quitting, that you're choosing to be a quitter. And although that's a thought that is running through my head, well, I could just get off the live stream. There's nothing forcing me to continue with a live stream. What's actually happening here? A blessing. And you might be wondering, how is that a blessing when he's being mean to you, when he's hurting your feelings even further? That you're already clearly struggling with something and he's hurting your feelings more. Well, in those harsh words comes the reality that, when have I ever quit? When have I ever quit or failed at something that needed to be done? In the entire history of me, in this life and in previous lives, when have I ever allowed myself to quit? Not a single time. Not a single time. So maybe the blessing in this moment is not just the realization that I'm incapable of quitting, I'm incapable of failure, but also the blessing of realizing that maybe sometimes I need to just acknowledge some of the things that are happening not necessarily giving details, but just acknowledgement of the process that I'm in, acknowledging that I'm struggling. And as you acknowledge that, sometimes you'll cry a little bit, other times you won't. Both are valid experiences. And the blessing in those experiences is that as you acknowledge and release, you are creating space for the furthering of what is already being brought to you. It's like when you order furniture online, right? I don't know if any of you have ever ordered furniture online. I don't even know why I'm using that as an analogy. I've never ordered furniture online, please. But it's like when you order furniture online, or maybe you go into a store and they're going to deliver it to your house, right? They're going to deliver it to your home. And are you going to leave your old furniture in its place? No, you're going to need to start moving things around to create space for what is on the way. There is something on the way that's going to help you, that's going to be much more comfortable for you, that is going to give you a space to rest, a space to allow yourself to make better sense of maybe the direction you're headed, a space where there is new connection, or maybe there are new connections with an S, multiple connections that are going to really help you get to the next part, the actual next part of what it is you are about to live through. And I think for many of us, especially those of us who are ready, those of us who are willing, those of us who are capable of acknowledging that really we're not quitters. We're not. We have moments where we need to pause, moments where we need to digest an emotion. But are we quitters? No. I mean, just because um you don't experience the event exactly as the way you pictured it doesn't mean you failed or quit. It just means there were a couple other things that needed to be experienced, and now they're experienced. You can move on to the next part. So, what's the next part? Something's being created, an opportunity that is profound. There's an alignment that's taking place, and this alignment is something that initiates that next part of your life. This is a difficult period that we are entering into. I know it's not just me that's having some degree of struggle, some degree of needing to kind of shrink back into myself and reassess um, and just go through the motions of something, right? And then now Michael says, "You sure you're not going to quit? Be so easy to quit. It'd also be so easy for you to shut the fuck up sometimes, but you never do, especially when I need you to be the most quiet." Right? It's sometimes just because it's easy doesn't mean it's the thing that's going to happen. It doesn't mean it's the thing that you need the most. You might want it the most, but it doesn't mean you need it. And I found that the way soul works, oftentimes what you need is what you will get. What you want, if it's not what you need, you're not getting it. You're not getting it, not from soul. So these blessings, you've earned these blessings. That's telling me something very specific. You're going to receive it because you've earned it and you need it. When your life becomes so beautifully aligned, what ends up happening is your blessings and the things you want they're typically the same thing as what you need. Like, I need this change. I know it's going to be turbulent, and it's been turbulent. I have not felt this way in many years. Many, many years. Many. And it's okay. Because the last time I felt this way many, many, many years ago, I wasn't sure if I could make it through that. I wasn't sure how I could or if I could. And it was very difficult. Very, very, very difficult. And this time around, it is very difficult, but there is no doubt in my mind. Not only will I get through this period, I come out the other side even more beautiful than when I entered, more powerful, more full of grace for self and others, more aware of the different pathways that are being laid before me, and how each pathway will still end up at the same end point. But I get to pick the adventure I go on. That if I want it to be nothing but work, then it could be. But if I want it to be something that's much more enjoyable, something with maybe flowers involved, I could choose that pathway. And I think the blessing here is that we begin to realize just how powerful we are over ourselves, how powerful we are over the way the details of our journey unfold. Depending on what you select, that's what's going to determine exactly what it is that you will experience. Right? Are you ready to allow yourself? To allow yourself the opportunity to see your true nature. Been trying to quantify things for the past several days. So clearly I'm going through something. I want to share this with you guys. Give me 1 second, okay? It's like when you can't hear yourself. When you can't hear yourself in the messages from soul. You start to feel very lost. You start to feel as though you're left in a space of extreme vulnerability, a space of just so much uncertainty. And again, it's something where it's like your soul is trying to get you to understand that be patient, remain steadfast. You've done everything that needs to be done. You are just seeing the unfoldment of what soul had already planned for you to begin with. So be patient with the process. And that's currently what I'm in right now, right? a process. It's nothing more than a process. When you're fully in that experience, oftentimes it becomes very, very convoluted. It becomes something that you can't see clearly. You can't see that this is merely a process. You begin to feel like everything you're going through is just so intense, so unfair, so misaligned, so painful, just so much, so much, so much, right? And then you begin to feel some type of way. Because really, if you've done the work and you're so loved and you're so supported by soul, why is all of this happening? Why are the hardships and the hiccups and the setbacks, like, how is that fair? But see, you're seeing it as hardship, you're seeing it as setbacks, you're seeing it as hiccups. In reality, what it is just life unfolding the next part and the next part and the next part, so that you can get to the center of the flower where the essence of that blossom is the sweetest. Each event is nothing but a petal being allowed to enter fully into the process of blooming. You are blossoming. And as you blossom to expose the sweetest part of what this portion of your journey is offering you, if you don't know what process you're in, you're going to think that you are losing parts of yourself, that you are in a state of decay. Are you losing parts of yourself? Or are you simply a flower, unaware that it is a flower in the middle of the process of blooming? So that's where I'm at. And it is a challenging circumstance, very challenging circumstance, to wrap my mind around it, to come to terms with it, to process it, and to trust that this is just one component of a larger process. And so I've been trying to preoccupy myself as I have tried to remain functional through this. And I yesterday I was needing to kind of just process life. And so I went out with my family Pokemon hunting. Right, Pokemon hunting. Um, and while we were Pokemon hunting, I was looking at some notifications that were coming in, and I got curious about something. Someone commented something on one of my posts, and they were like, "Oh, I love her. I love her I love her page," or something like that. And of course, me being nosy, I'm like, "Who are they talking about?" I thought two people were having a conversation about some content creator or something. I don't know. I don't know. Because one person commented that to another person. I'm like, "What is this? What is this?" And I go and click on it, and first and foremost, it turns out they were talking about me. I was like, "Oh, they're not talking about someone else," because I wanted to see who they're talking about, because I want to see people they love too. What if they say profound things? What if they could, like, help me make sense? What if they could help me make sense of the things I can't understand? And the crazy thing is, I clicked on the comment. The comment took me to one of the videos my social media manager posted on my TikTok. And And of course, my nosy self, I don't listen to my content. It's weird. But I wanted to know what I said that had someone comment what they commented. And so I started to listen to it. And then I understood. This is the video.
We are being invited by soul to return back to a space of who we are, a full awareness of who we are, with no hesitation in regards to the way you embrace yourself. Michael says, have no fears. Everything you're worried about works in your favor in the end. Everything that is rightful for you will be given to you. Whatever you think is for you, multiply it, and that is what is yours for you. And for many of us, he's letting me know, for many of us, we fail to allow ourselves to see exactly what it is that is due to us, what is owed to us, how much we have given, how much we have invested, how much will be returned.
So then comes the question. Because that really, I felt like I wasn't even watching myself. It felt like I just came across the most perfectly timed video. And that it was some person that was being used. How much are you due? That's the notification that just came in. It was like I just turned on some random person's video and that the random person was speaking directly to my soul. That random person was telling me exactly what I couldn't hear for myself. And so the question is, that how I affect you? That the things you can't hear for yourself coming straight from your soul, that you hear those very things coming out of my mouth. And it gives you that little bit of encouragement and shelter from whatever difficulty you're experiencing. Yeah, it was weird. It was weird. It was weird because I heard it and then I had to listen to it again. And I felt it in my heart. And then I downloaded the video and then I was like, oh my God, girl, this is your video. Why are you downloading it? Because I might need to remind myself again. Before this portion of the cycle is done, I might need to remind myself again. And so I have it in my phone and I now have it on my laptop. I think maybe we need to understand that we are going through something ridiculously profound. And for some of us, because we've become so accustomed to the ways in which life will traumatize us as things are changed, um, it's almost like just waiting for the other shoe to drop, waiting for another development in an ugly situation, waiting for another reason to be stressed out. And maybe it's time, instead of just waiting for that next part, that next shoe, that next whatever, maybe we just need to see it for what it is. The unfolding, the unwrapping of a blessing that's been covered in layer after layer after layer of petals, petals that are being allowed to bloom and blossom because we have entered into the season for that process. It is a challenging process, but is it made to destroy you? Is this process intended to destroy you? Or is it merely a process of releasing the parts of you that are resistant, the parts of you that resist the arrival of the actual blessings, what you are actually being given by God? I am hearing you're about to receive the degree of acknowledgement that you have earned. And maybe there's a part of you that doesn't want any further acknowledgement. Maybe there's a part of you that is fighting the process, right? Maybe there's a part of you that thinks like, no more, let me just kind of finish off this hard part and just let me rest. Let me have a break because it's been too much. You're ready. We keep talking about the next part. We keep talking about the next part as though it's some far off thing. It's here. This is the next part. This is the part where everything you've been through, everything that you have done, all the experiences, both good and bad, enjoyable and painful. This is the part where you see what you have worked so hard to understand and be worthy of. Don't allow your fear that's erupted from past experiences be the very thing that causes you to shy away. This next part is for you. And you guys are probably like, what is happening? I don't know. I'm in the process of finding the courage for the next part.
because I don't want to repeat what's happening in this part. And my fear tells me to close myself off and push everything away. But I said a long time ago, I will not repeat what I did the last time. And Michael says, and tell me when anyone has ever been successful in their attempt to destroy you. Never. He says, why do you say it like a question? Never. Never. So some people will, I'm repeating what he's saying. Some people will see you in a triggered state, fighting back, retaliating, yelling, speaking loudly, and they think that's badass. Being in a triggered state is not badass. What's badass is not finding your voice, but still using it. He says, what's badass is speaking even when your voice cracks, while you struggle to fight back tears. What's badass is acknowledging you don't have the courage, and once you acknowledge that, you go out of your way to find deeper pockets of the very courage you need to continue with the process that you are in. It is just the process. And this process that you are in is the process in which your blessing is being delivered to you. People will try and do what they do. Let them. Let them do just enough so that they may serve their purpose in your journey. And what purpose is that? To learn what you need to learn about yourself, your capacity, and your strength. For many of us, we are about to be reconnected with individuals. I don't know for how long. These individuals are carriers of information that are necessary for you on your journey. It might be by simply interacting, a very mundane type of interaction, just casual conversation, and their presence will trigger within you a cascade of downloads so that you can be better aware of the gravity of what you're entering into. You know, the other day I was sharing on here, I think it was last week, I was sharing on here how someone was being nasty. I didn't like it. It was just like, ew, why you got to be like that to people? And and I told them, remove that name out of your profile because you are a bad representative. You do not represent those people. And it's funny. It's funny because there was someone who commented on one of my posts today, and I was like, "Oh my god, you have such a beautiful energy." I didn't comment back. I just read it and I was like, let me not initiate interactions because I don't know where that's going to go and I don't want to be triggered today. Um, so I go to the gym and then I needed to take a break and I go back and I check. For some reason, something told me to look in the messages, and that same person had messaged me. By the way they commented, I could tell they were an elder. I could tell that they had purity in their words and their intentions. And that person messaged. And so I let them know. I actually responded. What? Right? I actually responded and I was like, I appreciate your presence. I appreciate it. And and it was odd. It was odd. He used some words. I can't remember the words now. But I was reading what he wrote and he used some words and I was like, washishu. Washishu. The washishu. I had to look it up because I was like, that's what he's referencing. That is what's going to be cleared. When I looked it up, I realized it's a Lakota word, the Titansu, which is a Lakota word. It does not mean white people. Washishu is the fat stealers. They steal the fat. They are the ones who are greedy. The fat is the richest part of the animal. Creates a richness in what you're cooking. You can render that fat and turn it into tallow. Very healing as a salve internally. It can support all sorts of healing. It's an amazing thing. The washishu, the greedy ones, their time is done. I had to look up his words too. The words he wrote are also Lakota. And then, of course, as though I wasn't already in some weird ass process, then came all the downloads of the lifetimes. Mm-hmm. Native American lifetimes coming through. I think the masculine that is being spoken about are those who will trigger for us just by their proximity. They will trigger in a not so bad way a return of certain things, aspects of you, maybe downloads of previous memories from earlier in this life or maybe previous lives. Excuse me. And maybe these are the things that get triggered to rise to the surface. Maybe these are the things that will allow you to better handle this intensification that's happening. There is an intensification that's occurring. Enochian. Sorry, I needed to screenshot that. So, there is nothing about you that is going to die away, death in reverse, right? This is not about ego death. This is about the laying to rest of old fears. This is about the laying to rest of insecurities that have prevented you from allowing yourself to step forward with the appropriate level of grace for self. You are in a process, a challenging process, maybe a process that's full of adversity, maybe a process that has been internally destructive or inconvenient or depleting in some way, right? A process is a process nonetheless, no matter how you experience it. A process is not an end product, it is what you go through to create the end product. It is simply a step. And that's what you are in. You are in this process earning an elevation in the blessings you are about to receive. You're about to go through this awareness, an awareness of just give me 1 second. Hold on. I gotta check something. It's just an awareness of a process. All right. Splashed on my nose. Just because you're aware you're in a process does not mean it's going to be easier for you, but it's just going to make a little more sense. It's going to help you to better hold on, to better utilize your level of stamina, right? Like, for example, working out today, I pushed myself quite a bit, right? So the past week and a half, 2 weeks have been difficult. I've been completely deficient in specific macros. And yeah, I should have just been more responsible. I was deficient in specific macros, and so it's greatly affected my strength, my stamina, everything. And past couple days, I've just been loading tons of carbs that I can have. I can't have much carbs. So your body needs that as fuel. Your muscles will fatigue a lot faster if you don't have carbohydrates. And I knew this, but I also knew that I was going through a process that's really difficult for me emotionally and mentally. And I go to the gym and I'm pushing myself and I'm pushing myself and I'm pushing myself even more. Not to the point where I'm going to hurt myself, but just pushing myself slightly over the edge. And I go and I get these dumbbells. I'm going to do inclined bench press, right? And this older man, he watches me often and he always just like looks at me crazy. He does. He does. I don't think he's checking me out. I think he watches me because he's like, what the fuck is this little ass girl gonna do today? um so today he was watching me do the bench press with dumbbells, and I was doing 60-pound dumbbells. Just pushing it up. And at one point, I could feel my chest was beginning to fatigue. I had no spotter.
And no, I'm not going to drop the dumbbells because I'm going to actually injure myself. I can't do that. I'll injure myself. And I could feel mechanical failure setting in. If you lock your joint, as long as what's failing is not part of stabilizing that joint, you could have a moment to rest. And so I locked my elbows. I locked it. I was like this. And I was just staring, smiling, and then I started giggling, and I was like, "Oh Lord." And he was just looking at me through the mirror like, "This girl's about to get fucked up." And I just looked at him and I smiled. I have strong ass shoulders. I have a strong ass core. So what did I do? I went ahead and I did a reverse crunch in an incline position. I lifted my knees, my bent legs all the way up as far as I could, which it was this far from the dumbbells. And I lowered it onto my knees. And then I allowed my knees to lower. Because your girl's not fucking dumb. And he just looked at me like, what the? And I was like, ooh, wee, that was close. And it's this thing of you don't have to be injured. You can find your own way of doing things. You don't have to allow the destruction that sometimes can be a part of a process that clears the space for your blessings to arrive. If you clear the space before the blessing arrives, if you intentionally clear that space, clean it up a little bit, create some room, the blessing doesn't have to be destructive as it arrives. So like you lift your leg up and then you put the dumbbell on your knees and it sits you up. Yeah. Don't do that if you don't know what I'm talking about because you're going to get hurt if you do that. Someone's like, what is she talking about? Yeah, no, I can't drop the dumbbell because I'm concerned I'll tear one of my ligaments. My joints are unstable. But the thing is, you know, just because someone sees you and thinks you're not capable of that, of what you're doing, doesn't mean you're not capable of what you're doing. You have worked your way up to the point that you're at. The title, you have earned these blessings. You have worked your way to it. It didn't happen overnight. Do you really think someone my height and size could do that just because I felt like it? No, I don't think so, sir. I don't think so. I had to work in increments, one plate after another plate, working, pushing, just slightly past that boundary, slightly past that boundary until I got to the point where, okay, yeah, now I can do that. And this is what you've been doing this entire time. All these uncomfortable circumstances that you've been in, they've pushed you slightly beyond that edge, that space where you thought you couldn't, but you just pushed yourself just a little, just a little. And damn, you did it. That's a good point. Michael says, have you guys been having a hard time breathing as of late? Have you been feeling like you're needing to catch your breath a little bit more? Have you been like sighing more? Feeling a little bit of tightness across the chest, even across the belly area? Because for many of us, we're in this process, right? And continuing with the analogy from the gym, I just received my first my first weightlifting belt. And I now have one of those leather weightlifting belts. And man, when I first put that on, I was like, bitch, I can't breathe. I might pass out. But I was like, girl, you gotta break it in. You gotta break it in. Just breathe. Shallow sips. Yeah, it was concerning for a moment. It was concerning for a moment. But wearing that, I could fucking squat over 200 pounds. Without that, I'm like, I'm stuck at about 160 because the compression on my spine, I'm worried I'm gonna injure myself. So I do 160. I put that on. I was like, easy peasy bitches. Yeah. Ooh. And it was like it snatched me in so good. I had something to brace myself with, right? And man, oh man, I went ahead and I began deadlifting. And usually I'm like, I don't want to herniate my disc again ever. I'm just going to stay at like 115. That's good enough. It's good enough. I put that belt on. I felt like a little badass. I did. It's the truth. I was like, I'm a little beefcake today. I'm going to fuck shit up in my head. I was saying that. I had my little beefcake. I was going to fuck shit up today. I fucking went over 200 something pounds. I was deadlifting that. I was like, yeah. All because I had that belt on. And it constricted me in such a way that forced me to control my breath in such a way that solidified me to the degree that my strength was amplified. You feel like you can't breathe? You just put on a spiritual weightlifting belt, boo. You a heavy hitter. And you about to find out how powerful you are. You're about to find out just how powerful you are. How strong are you? Do you know? Do you know if you are capable of lifting heavy? I'm talking about heavy lifting life's events, life's circumstances, right? Because for many of you, and I'm not going to identify as this, for many of you, you have no idea how strong you are. You have no idea how strong you are. You've become so accustomed to giving everyone else the credit for what you have done, right? For the ways in which you have healed yourself, the ways in which you have shown up for yourself, the ways in which you have applied the knowledge and turned it into wisdom, the ways in which you are progressing, and then you give someone else the credit for it. This is the very reason why you tell me, "Oh, Emmy, you changed my life." No, I did not. I sat here talking and processing my life, and then you listened and you applied it to your life, and then you did the work. Why would you give me the credit? I don't need credit. You're doing it. You're doing it. You did it. You changed your life. You empowered yourself. Yeah, maybe I helped to facilitate, or I encouraged, or I somehow got you hyped up, you know? Yeah, okay, I'll take that credit. But you did that. You changed your life. You did that. Part of being worthy, these blessings, you need to acknowledge what you've done to earn them. That's part of you readying yourself to be worthy to receive the very blessings that you are being given. Yeah. And sometimes, Sometimes you'll see this pattern as you truly become ready to start that next part, that next part of your journey. You'll witness how everything seems to be falling apart. You'll witness how things seem to be ripping apart at the seams, right? And it's like, oh, I did all of this for nothing. I wasted my time. No, no, not necessarily. Not necessarily. If you have a sack of potatoes, I mean, are the potatoes anything good staying in the sack? No. I don't know if you guys know this, but freshly harvested potatoes in a burlap sack fucking stinks. I'm sorry. It's the truth. It stinks. Ugh. It stinks. What's a better use of potato is taking it out of the sack and doing something with it. French fries, twice baked potatoes, scallop potatoes, potato soup, mashed potatoes, all kind of different things. All kind of different things. Potato bread. I love potato bread. If I want to die, potatoes kill me, literally. It's painful. I can't have any potato. But going back to what I was saying, if you can't untie that burlap sack, are you going to be like, oh, that's too bad. We can't have these potatoes. We can't have these potatoes because of the bag. We need to salvage the bag. I'm sorry, what? You need to salvage the burlap sack? I'm sorry, what? What the fuck you say to me? No. Yeah, no. Rip that bag open. Rip it open. Rip it open and let the potatoes out. Start washing them. Clean them up real good. Real good. And then allow yourself to begin preparing those potatoes for a feast. Right? Because that's what soul is doing right now. I mean, you guys are probably like, what the fuck do you keep talking about potatoes for? Okay, because first, like, I can't have potato. Why don't you eat some on my behalf? Okay. And secondly, it's an analogy. It's an analogy. You feel like everything is falling apart when in reality, your soul is ripping the seam open. Why at the seams, Emmy? Well, because then you can just sew it back shut at the seams and reuse the bag. Hello? Hello? I mean, yes, you need to cut it open to get the potatoes out, but you don't have to necessarily completely destroy the bag. So you're being ripped open at the seams to allow the most fulfilling, most sumptuous parts of you out. A feast is being prepared for you. A feast is being prepared for you. You need to come out of incubation, okay? You need to come out of incubation and you need to allow yourself to come into union with the very people who have the willingness and capacity to protect you. Traditional role of that masculine energy is a very protective energy, right? Allowing yourself to enter into a space of wholeness. Woo. A thought came to my head. I think for some of us, we swung ourselves a little too far to the other side, right? And that's what's making it difficult.
That's what's delaying the arrival of the blessing. So what do I mean by this? Okay. Okay, we'll use me as an example yet again. Um, I have a little bit of an imbalance. I measured my whole body. I'm an eighth or maybe a tenth of an inch difference in my body between the left and the right. Right? So my forearms, my right side is an eighth of an inch smaller. My bicep, an eighth of an inch smaller across my whole body between my left and right leg, left and right calf, all of it. Right. And it's this thing of recognizing that my left side is more muscularly developed than my right. And I was speaking with my body worker about this. I ended up needing to get body work done because of all the stress that I was holding inside me. And my left trapezius was locked. Actually, my entire trapezius was locked up for days. Um, and my body worker had to come and help release that. And they noticed that my left trapezius it was much more locked up than my right. And so that's really indicative of the process that I'm in, that I have allowed myself to some degree shame my masculine parts, which is represented by the right side of your body. I allowed that to get shamed and pushed aside. All right. I've been doing much of the heavy lifting with my left side, my feminine. Feminine energy is very powerful energy. It's not this girly energy. That's like fair maiden energy. True feminine energy. You ever seen a honey badger? Honey badger is not at war with itself. But if you come at it the wrong way, it's going to fuck your ass up. That's feminine energy. It lives in harmony with its environment, and anything that is deemed non-harmonious is going to catch some honey badger claws and teeth too. I think soul is trying to let us know that our parts need to come back into union. There needs to be a balance between the masculine and feminine sides of ourselves. You can't be all feminine and you can't be all masculine. And I'm not speaking about being androgynous. Be whatever you want for your aesthetic, for your sexual preferences. I'm not speaking about that. I'm speaking about the parts of you that are categorized under the umbrella of either the feminine or the masculine, allowing them to come together in union and entering into a space of totality. This is the process we are in. When you enter into a space of totality, you then have both hands to hold the blessing, the gift that's about to be placed in your hands. You could hold it with one hand, but you're going to be unbalanced. I mean, you could technically figure out a way to do it with both, you know, or you could remain unbalanced. The choice is up to you. I've been working on balance. I've really been trying to find ways to get both parts of me engaged. And it has to do with the core. What needs to be engaged for you, it's stored in your core. So that imbalance, one arm of mine is slightly more developed than the other. You can't quite tell until I start pointing shit out, right? You can't quite tell. But once I point it out, you're like, oh yeah, no, it's not symmetrical. And some people might say like, oh, that's too much perfectionism. You can't do that. You can't actually be completely symmetrical. Fucking watch me. Sorry. Watch me. I will be. And so for me, it's this thing of no, that will predispose me to further injury.
It's not just the aesthetic. I want to be strong through the entirety of me. And what appeared to be an imbalance in my arms and my legs, really the root causation is an imbalance in my core, my iliacus and iliopsoas, the muscles inside my pelvic girdle, slightly off, is slightly off. Would have never known if I didn't come across a video telling me this. It was a simple solution. Squeeze a yoga block between my thighs whenever I'm lifting. I'm feeling myself becoming centered in myself again. That it is okay for my feminine to be expressed in softness and for my masculine to be expressed in the traditional masculine sense of slightly more aggression. And this is a lesson that's a finer learning. It's a very fine tuning of your awareness of the parts of you that are necessary to become a totality. You're much more powerful. I hear the word formidable. Ooh, do you know what I'm saying? I heard the word formidable as I brought this card out. I'm saying, look at that. Girlfriend. It says Durga, the warrior goddess, dispeller of darkness. Become a warrior to dispel the darkness. You could be a warrior to dispel the darkness, or as I was saying, or I don't know if I said it, but I was definitely thinking it when I was speaking to the Lakota elder earlier. It's this sense of, you know, an ember in the darkness is something that is powerful. Because all it takes is for you to release that inhale. You just blow on it ever so gently. And with the proper fuel, the proper tinder, it will reignite the fire. Embers glow the brightest in the darkest environments. I tell you right now, if you feel exhausted, if you're tired of your circumstance, you're tired of life, you're tired of the struggles that you've been in, and you just want the blessing, baby boo, we are currently in a period of darkness. I know you want what your soul is promising you. It will come. It will come. Please allow yourself to recognize that even in your depleted state, you are an ember in the darkest of nights. And it's always the darkest before the sun rises again. That's when it is the most dark. So know, even in your state of depletion, by just being you and allowing yourself to be witnessed, you are helping others. We're in this process together. And sometimes we need to allow ourselves to enter into a state of being a warrior. And other times we need to recognize when nonsensical, inconsequential, irrelevant people are simply trying to deplete us, because if they can successfully deplete us, well, then somehow in their sick, twisted minds, they're relevant. They have power. No, you don't. You're a fucking hemorrhoid. It's true. People who are like that are hemorrhoids. Slather some preparation H on them. I'm saying. Slather some preparation H on those type of people. Shrink them down. Shrink them down, or stop taking in the foods that flare them up. It's time for you to get rid of those hemorrhoids. Hemorrhoid ass people. They're nothing but an inconvenience, and you've been inconvenienced long enough. Now is a time for you to begin preparing yourself for the part where you allow yourself to celebrate things, Dance with Ganesh, remover of obstacles. Give yourself over to joy and your life will flow. See what I'm saying? It's time for you to dance. The obstacles are being removed. The obstacles are being removed. Okay, what do you got in your hands, Neshi? What you got, boo? I'm going to start wearing anklets like this just so that people can hear when greatness enters the room. I'm totally joking. I can't wear any jewelry. But I'm saying maybe you guys should wear those anklets with the little bells on them. Wear a bunch of them, both legs, both ankles. And so when you walk, and people are going to hear you like clink, 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 clink. When you walk into a room, people can hear greatness entering. True story. Do it. Do it so that you'll be reminded. You know, people will turn and look like, what the fuck just entered? And you could be like, greatness. Thank you for acknowledging my presence. You could totally could, you know, just really hype yourself up in that way. God preserver of the celestial realms, the life force within us is the same power that created the universe. Ooh, they got a chee-hoo up in here. Okay, guys. This is acknowledgement. Okay. So this card came in reverse. Whoever this is that was trying to ride your back, they were not created with the same energy and power that created the universe. No, no. They can take their freaking mini plate and baguette somewhere else. They need to get off your back. They need to get off your back. Okay. And they're going to be taken off your back. They're going to be. Let's see. They're an imp. Fucking imps. I swear to God. It's one of the 8 classes of demons. Choose positive thoughts that will chase away the devil. They're an imp. If you allow this during this period, if you allow the imps in your life to continue what they're doing, to distract you, derail you, deplete you, they're going to get very brazen. They're going to wave their little flag and call more imps over. Okay. Even if they're the only imp they know, they don't, because imps tend to travel solo. They don't like to show their impiness, their impish nature to other people because they know they're whack. And so if you just kind of push them out, they won't have the opportunity to embolden other imps. Hold on. I got to look up. There's additional information that's going to come forward. Okay. Wait. There's a message. There was an individual who was like totally trying to identify as a fairy. It says here an imp is a European mythological being similar to a fairy or demon. This monkey looking imp. Michael's trying to cheer me up. Michael's trying to cheer me up. An imp is a troublemaker, not a thug or a criminal, but a mischievous sort who might make prank phone calls or harass a substitute teacher. So they're whack. They're a mischievous child. They're obsolete. What? Imps were masters of flattery, coercing others into acts of lawful evil through weeding Wheedling service due to lacking the intimidating presence held by other devils. Mhm. A small evil spirit. Okay. Let me just let me let that go. Michael is trying to make me laugh. There's this imp. For some of you, you're dealing with an imp. They think that part of the process you're in is that this person thinks they're riding your back like some dominant being, that they are successfully dominating you, when in reality they're simply a fucking imp. Look, the gravity of it. The gravity of it. They serve Shaitan. Shaitan's reign is coming to an end. See, look. Okay. So they think they're this, but in actuality, they're an imp. And they think that you are just this thing that they can ride on and like mess around with. No, this is you. This is you. Capable of war in every environment. You dispel darkness. Let me look up Durga. There's more information. Durga. She's associated with the protection, strength, motherhood, destruction, and wars. Jai Kali Ma. I'm just saying. The power of Goddess Durga is the power to destroy evil and to bring goodness into our lives. While we don't see any males helping Durga, she is sometimes shown to be able to use their powers. The following article, okay. Wow. Whew. I'm saying, don't let Shiv hear you say this. The question is Durga stronger than Shiva, possessing the combined energy, the Shakti of her creators, the male gods Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva? She's more powerful than any of them, made so by them so she could destroy the indestructible and save the planet. October 8th, 2022. 10/8/2022, 10/8/6, 18, 24, 6, 24. Guiding you back to self in order to receive. The awareness that a journey will take place, a journey that leads to the convergence, the reunification, which then is guiding you to your origination point, which leads to an elevation of guidance. 2022. Fascinating. 342, a solid foundation from which you will receive your guidance. 7/9, guidance from God. 3 + 4 + 2 is 9. You're being given a solid foundation from which to receive the guidance from God itself. Replace pride by knowing that separateness is an illusion. You can't separate your parts. This is not about other people. This is about you and strictly you, right? You and strictly you. This is about the reunification of all your parts, allowing every part of you to step forward that is needing to step forward. The parts of you that are capable of correcting, the parts of you that are capable of all of these different things that that we allow ourselves to convince ourselves that we're incapable of. Like, no, you are highly capable. You allowed someone who was intimidated by you and your existence to convince you of a lie about yourself. Let me ask you this. The people who think the things they think about you, are they people that you are very comfortable being yourself around? Because if they're not, if you're not like super duper comfortable around them, then the reality is this: they don't know you. They don't know you. And if they don't know you, why are their words being allowed to be taken into your core, and you allowing yourself to believe their opinions of who you are, a person they don't know? Why is that? I used to, a long, long time ago, allow people who never had the opportunity to even get to know me affect the way I see myself. I haven't done that in a very long time. Many, many, many years. Why? Well, because they never even knew me. How are they going to convince me that I'm this and that when they have no idea who I am, how I am, what I am? Don't allow yourself to get caught up in other people's insecurities. For some of us, we trigger people just because we exist. And the people who don't understand that same will be like, that's not true. You have to have done something. Yes, what I did is I exist. That's what I did. I existed. And it triggered someone. Why would they be triggered just because you exist? Well, first and foremost, because they see the greatness that you are, and it shines a light on their own perception of their shortcomings. We live with such truth, with such authenticity. They can't help but compare themselves to you. And when they do, they see the ways in which they are falling short in their own eyes, not because you're doing something. We have to stop taking accountability for other people's processes, because we cannot control the way their process goes. We cannot control that. And so if you allow yourself to get to a point where you're recognizing when you're doing that, you can conserve more of your energy to prepare your auric field to receive the blessings you're about to receive. And the people who are going to tell you, like, oh my God, what she just said is super selfish. No, you are super selfish, because you are saying this to a person who has given and given and given. Even when they had nothing left, they gave. I'm not talking about me, I'm talking about all of us. All of us. You feel like you deeply resonate with me? Like I speak to your heart every time? You feel that? That's because we're the same. That's because we love the same. That's why. Because the ways in which I would suffer and struggle for other people just so they wouldn't by themselves, just so I could help them not feel struggle even momentarily, it's the same way in which you would volunteer to help with no hesitation. We are the same. We are the same. And so when you let people say, like, I don't know why you listen to that girl, she's teaching you to be selfish. Those are the people who have been taking advantage of you, who have been depleting you and telling you that you need to live in fear. You need to lock your doors. Because why? Because your blessings are coming and they don't want you to have it. Why would they not want us to, Emmy? I don't fucking know, because I'm not like that. I'd be like, oh, girl, take a nap. I'll wait and I'll listen for the door. I'll open the door for you. I'll sign for your package and I'll wake you up when it's here. We don't know why they do that. We're never going to know why they do that, because we don't have the same heart. We don't function the way those people do. So when I say it's time for us to conserve our energy for what is being prepared for us, it's because it's necessary at this point. It's not because it's time for us to be selfish. There's nothing selfish about finally taking care of yourself. Nothing selfish about that at all. At all. It's called self-care and self-love.
Card number 35, conscious connections. Allowing yourself to come together with those who are able to connect with you in a very conscious manner. Like they're choosing to connect with you because there's an alignment there. There's a necessity for that connection. And it's not so one person can benefit, it's a mutually beneficial connection. Mutually beneficial. Inspiration in reverse. There are those who are going to try and be a pocket full of pins for your ideas. I'm going to try and burst your bubble. There are those who exist who will try and burst your bubble simply because you have balloons and they don't. These non-magical ass sad clowns need to stop. Right? They need to stop. Do you live in a circus? Do you want to live in a circus? Because if the answer is no, you got to stop hanging around clowns. You got to stop hanging around the people who treat you and your aspirations as though it was a joke. The people who try and convince you that you are unworthy of the blessings that are coming your way. Those people are fucking clowns. Like, no, fuck them. I'm so serious. Fuck them. Mm-mm. I'm a person who is quick to just cut someone off that I'm a reader of energy. That's the reality of it. I used to not give myself permission to make these decisions. And then, oh, my heater. Hold on. Using my feet like the adorable little monkey girl that I am. All right. Um, what I've learned from life, when I get the urge to cut someone off, I pause and I wonder, like, why? Why would I need to cut them off? They haven't done anything. And what life taught me whenever I ask that question is, okay, if you want to fuck around and find out, you definitely going to find out. Go ahead, keep fucking around with them. And every time I didn't heed that warning from soul, where it's like, soul is telling me to cut someone off, to be like inaccessible. Oh, then what happens? What happens? A clusterfuck happens. So now these days, when I get a weird feeling, instead of the why, I'm like, okay, all right, I don't need to know why. Because when you need to know why life is taking someone away from you, you'll then live through the circumstances that will clearly illustrate why you should have let life take that person away from you, why you should have allowed life to remove them from your presence. Right? Card number 24, new birth guarded vigilantly. This is why. This is why. This is why. You're rebirthing yourself. Some people who are in your life right now, maybe not on a daily basis, but they have access to you, they're very unsafe for this new space you're entering into. When you level up, you're going to be very much just combobulated in your life at first. Nothing's going to really make sense. You're going to be confused. You're going to feel this way and that way. And you're not really going to have a good sense of what's happening. It's going to be a very vulnerable space because you're going to need time to acclimate into this new existence that you created for yourself. You're being protected from the very people who would take advantage of that. You're being protected. New birth guarded vigilantly. You're growing.
and you're being protected. You're going to probably feel isolated for a short period. It doesn't have to be a prolonged period. You're going to probably feel isolated for a short period, and then it's going to be something that um you'll begin to see when people cannot respect your need for space. And I'm not talking about how, like, so I've been silent for the past several days, which is very abnormal for me. Clearly something's happening. Everything's fine. But some of you who recognize that I'm live pretty much every day here, and then suddenly I'm gone for days at a time, that's concerning. You're worried. That's genuine concern. That's not someone that is trying to force their way into my life or anything like that. No, that's just genuine concern. I appreciate you guys, by the way. I'm talking about people who don't have genuine concern. I'm talking about people who just want to know so they can keep tabs on you so that they can know when the appropriate time to attack you is, when the appropriate time to further degrade you, further devolve your perception of yourself. So I'm going through something. And I think it was yesterday, I was having very deep introspective thoughts as I was working on certain things that needed to be worked on. And it was this sense, this questioning of why. Like, I'm trying to understand so that I could better submit to the process that I'm in, right? I mean, I'm going to do the process regardless, but so I could just, be more focused on the task at hand. And it was this sense of preparation for what? And then, of course, soul didn't answer right away because that was going to freak me out more if soul gave me the answer. Sometimes your soul does not give you the answer to your questions because it's going to freak you out more. You're not ready to hear it. And so I go through the process and I'm over here like, because of the specific nature of what I'm dealing with, like this thought and this question pops in my head of, is this what it's like? Is this what it's like to be in a malignant relationship? Like, for other people, it has nothing to do with my relationship. But it's this thing of like, is that how people lose themselves when they're in that really toxic relationship with a person? Is that how it happens? And maybe it's not even a relationship, like romantic relationship. Maybe it's the process of someone losing themselves in a specific type of community or a specific type of friendship, or maybe a work environment. And then came the thought of, well, why do I need to know this? Because I would never allow myself to be in that type of connection with anyone. Not a friendship, not nothing. I'd be like, fuck you. Who the fuck you think you is? That's exactly how I'd react. And then came this realization. Part of it came last night, and other part came a little earlier today. And it's this thing of, the next part will require me to be thrust into an environment that will be very hard to control. You cannot have that broad spectrum of a control over that broad of an environment. And so what needs to happen? I need to finish out this cycle so that I can see with definitive proof, no matter the outcome of whatever this is
I make it through to the other side, even more beautiful than before I entered. And I don't mean aesthetically beautiful. I mean the beauty of witnessing my strength, the beauty of witnessing my courage in action. Michael says, the beauty of your valor. You called me a quitter earlier. Fuck you. He called me a quitter earlier. No. He says, no, I did not call you a quitter. Technically, you did not. But I don't like you addressing me with that word ever. Any communications. What he said to me earlier specifically was, you can quit if you want to quit, but you have to admit that you're a quitter. That's what he said. So technically, he didn't call me a quitter. It was implied. It was implied. You have to have faith in your process. You're being prepared for something profound. And that's why this period is so difficult for you, because what you're being prepared for requires elevations in your capacity and your awareness of that. Your awareness of how far you can go, how much you can handle. Sometimes the answer, the solution, it's been staring you in the face the entire time. And if you've seen it, you've read it over and over and over. And until you get the last little bit of detail, that information doesn't make sense. You don't understand the gravity of that document. I'll share this. There was a secondary process that was initiated. And it's a process that's designed to be as destructive as possible towards me personally. And so I had to go through the motions of another thing, exposing myself yet again to never ending files. And every time I get exposed to that, it's like reliving all of it all over again. Like, fuck. And then so there was one little last detail. And of course, that last detail forced me to yet again sift through terabytes of files. And then I came across a file that I've come across quite a few times already. And when I read it, yet again, it fucking clicked. It clicked. And I was like, this. This cycle is done. The cycle is done. It's done. I'm not going to have to deal with this anymore. It's finished. I wish I could share with you guys exactly what it is I came across. One day I will. Not today. I want to leave that as a surprise. I want to leave that as a surprise. But I will say, soul keeps its promises. And I'll play the video again. Hold on. I'll play the video again because it's important. The way soul communicates. And I hope
that if your soul doesn't already communicate in this way, that, ooh, bitch, that's loud. If your soul doesn't communicate to you this clearly, that one day it will. So, as I said earlier, and I shared this video before, I came across one of my videos. Long story short, I ended up listening to the video and it was so perfectly timed. It was so perfectly timed. I never listened to my own content. But this time, for some reason, I listened to it, not intentionally, but because I was trying to figure something out. I was being nosy as fuck about what people were commenting to each other. I thought they were commenting about someone cool, and I wanted to know who the cool person was because what if they have amazing quotes and I want to know? It turned out they were talking about me. I was like, oh, me. Yes. But listen to this.
We are being invited by soul to return back to a space of who we are, a full awareness of who we are, with no hesitation in regards to the way you release yourself. Michael says, have no fears. Everything you're worried about works in your favor in the end. Everything that is rightfully for you will be given to you. Whatever you think is for you, multiply it, and that is what is really for you. And for many of us, he's letting you know, for many of us, we fail to allow ourselves to see exactly what it is that is due to us, what is owed to us, how much we have given, how much we have invested, how much will be returned.
So I came across that video maybe like 30 minutes before I came across the file. And basically, Soul was letting me know using me. I don't know how old that video is. I don't know when that video was recorded. But specifically, what I said, that everything owed to me will be given back to me. And then to be given the one thing that will make that happen. And finally bring this chapter to a close. And it's not anything fabricated, it is factual. That I was being given everything that is necessary for soul to uphold its promise of closing out unnecessary cycles, closing out unnecessary distractions, unnecessary opportunities to deplete me, distract, and derail. Yeah. Yeah. You guys, the cycles are closing out. This is not a process unique to me. These cycles, they're closing out. These are things that have been a long time coming. And I know for me specifically, and I think also for many of you, these are things you guys did not anticipate. You did not initiate it. You did nothing to provoke this. You just were existing. And then, bam, there it is. What the fuck is happening? You had no idea. But all of that happened. Whatever it was you went through, all of that happened. And it changed you.
If it changed you into something you don't want to be, this is your confirmation. It's time to change yourself back to what you do want to be. You will never be the same person again that you were before this event happened, before this circumstance was forced upon you. You will never be that same person again. And why would you want to be? The person you were when all of this started is a version of you that allowed for it to be initiated. I'm not saying it's your fault. I'm saying there were characteristics that were exploited by people who exploit others. And now you're aware. You're aware of how far to go for other people. You're aware of how much to tolerate. You're aware of when it's time, what the signs are, when it's time to walk away, when it's time to be solidified in your choice and stand your ground, when it's time to just ignore, and when it's time for whatever other times it is for. No matter what, you're in control though. Might not feel like it. Might not even seem like it. It might seem like you've just been dragged left and right, no say in any type of matter, no consideration of you and how you're being made to feel and what you're experiencing and all of these other things. I promise you, you are not being asked about your opinion by soul, because soul knows you don't yet have the life experience to understand the gravity and profound nature of the experience. And that is why that experience is necessary. So, you know, go through the process. Diving for light in reverse. This is telling me that you don't need to dive for anything right now. You simply need to just allow for some buoyancy. Allow yourself to float and flow. There's no need to expend all that energy right now. There will be times in your life where you need to dive deep. This is not one of those times. Whatever is in the deep that is for you, it's going to be brought up to the surface for you. Your soul has put so much work into this. Whatever your circumstance is. I don't know what your circumstance is. In the world, not of the world. Ooh. In reverse. Look at this card. In the world, not of the world, right? You know what this is telling me? Whatever this experience is, it's helping you to be that much more present in this human experience of yours. Allow yourself to be present. Allow yourself to feel. Softly, softly, the tender touch, it's in reverse. You haven't been being gentle with yourself. You've been very harsh with yourself. You haven't been allowing your process. You need to allow the process. You need to allow yourself to receive the confirmations, the guidance. Sorry, guys. We're going to pull two final cards. I don't feel like pulling. Okay, we're going to pull two final cards, #1 or #2. If you would like to get a little bit of a mini message, semi-personal message from soul, you can do either #1 or #2, and this can be your message from soul. Okay, so we're going to start with #2. Here goes.
Ooh. Ooh. Okay. So #2 is here. And then we're going to do #1 after. Okay. So let us do #2. #2. There we go. Put that on the screen. And then I want to pull out #1 already. Ooh, my arm looks buff. Look at that. Ooh, girl. Ooh. It's because I'm wearing a child's shirt. That's the only reason. I'm wearing a child's shirt. True story. That's a true story. I'm a buff 11-year-old. What? It fits for real. See? I'm the size of an 11-year-old. It's going to be okay. So #2. We got card number. Here we go. Here goes, guys. Orchid Priestess of Destiny. The Orchid Priestess of your highest spiritual destiny calls to you now, beloved. She calls you to your purpose, path, and soul passion. You are called to rise again and again, to live into your potential with all its uniqueness and beauty. She will call you always with her sweet flute playing deep in your heart, blossoms of orchid and chrysanthemum falling from her feet, stirring your heart to quest for your truest soul passion. So for those who chose #2, I mean, y'all, you're entering into the part of your journey where you're actually about to go into your spiritual purpose. Whatever your divine purpose is, it's being activated for those who chose #2. You may have felt different to those around you at different times in your life. This is meant to be, beloved. You cannot be a pioneer of different consciousness on this planet if you feel completely comfortable in the consciousness that already exists around you. Do you know that this was chosen on purpose so you could be on purpose? Your soul chose to be of service by not fitting in so that it would remember through things not feeling right, that it was meant to help correct and heal the consciousness on our planet, starting with the self. Notice how those who are healers are here to facilitate the healing of consciousness, not saving people, right? So we have to stop with that and allow ourselves to focus on what the actual mission objective is. And what's the actual mission objective? Help correct and heal a consciousness on our planet, starting with the self. So you start with yourself. Once the self was able to correct and align the consciousness within so that it matched the love and peace that existed deep in the heart, it would be easier to help others to do the same, even if just by inspiration. So, for many of us, we're simply here to help inspire people into a space of allowing their highest degree of authenticity to shine forward. This is where the Orchid Priestess of Destiny, beloved Kuan Yin, in her devotion to your highest spiritual attainment, calls you forward now. Yes, beloved, your divine destiny is calling you. That means it's time to unplug from mass consciousness at a deeper level than ever before, to really let go of the beliefs and thought forms that do not serve your highest destiny, no matter how unchangeable or unchallengeable they may seem to be at first. So there's a lot of shedding that's happening, a lot of letting go of the things that need to be let go of. Life is already showing you exactly what and who and where needs to be released. It's time to revise anything inside of you that would hold you back from owning your spiritual power and moving ahead in your divine destiny. It is your own destiny that calls you forward to do this. Do not fear. It is just you waiting to meet you in all your spiritual beauty and strength. Embrace the changes, and soon you will enjoy this spiritual reunion at a higher turn of the spiral of your own passionate life. Your spiritual purpose is going active. The flute and blossoms of the orchid priestess help you in this process now. Ooh. Ooh. I love this. So, this is a prayer to the orchid priestess of destiny. And it says, "My destiny is in my own heart, and you guide me deeper within myself, beloved orchid priestess. So I cannot miss out on anything that is divinely ordained for me. It will always find me. At peace in my heart, I now receive that which is guiding me in unconditional love into the fullness and expression of my own divine being." Ooh, I love that. I got chills. They're multiplying, and I'm losing control. Do you guys know that song? You better shape up, 'cause I need a man, and my heart is set on you. I love the movie Grease. Okay. For those who chose #1, ooh, girl, I'm saying. Look at me, I'm Sandra D. Lousy with virginity. Won't go to bed till I'm legally wed. I'm going to watch that movie again today. I'm going to go watch that movie again today. #1. You guys got card number 28. All right. Here goes. Grease is so good. I was thinking that, Schumann Renee. Tell me about it, stud. She told her to throw out the cigarette. Ew. Okay. Anyways, card number 1 or #1. Look at her. I'm saying, if I need to be a destroyer, I got to be a hot destroyer because, like, girl, look at how the skulls hang on your hips, girlfriend. Those hips don't lie. Those hips do not lie. She gonna F stuff up. What is that? Is that blonde hair? Oopsie. Someone fucked around and found out. Okay. #1. Guya Kali, our divine mother who knows all, with every answer and every mystery within her power to disclose, provides knowledge at the right time and in the best way. An answer to your question shall be provided. Do not immediately dismiss intuitions that are unexpected or lead you into unknown territory. Rest and reflect upon your insights, allowing your wisdom rather than a reaction to distill their usefulness and their value. An entirely new perspective about a matter of importance is awakening. A secret shall be revealed, and all you need to know will be given to you. For those of you who chose #1, you've been going through something very, very pronounced. You've been going through something that has felt very destructive. Now, has it actually been destructive? I don't know, but it's felt destructive for you. You're about to be given some answers to questions that have been long held. Guya Kali means secret Kali. She's a dark tantric counterpart of the bright goddess Lalita Tripura Sundari. She has the same triune nature but does not dwell in the light, and is not accessible to anyone who simply calls upon her as a loving mother. She is so powerful and so potentially disturbing in her fierce liberation that she is shrouded in mystery, unknowable to any except those who are able to tolerate her revelations. The Tantras teach that to connect with her requires initiation and the guidance of a teacher. What does this mean? There are some insights we must be readied for. Even though they are ultimately helpful, we are unable to accept some truths without the experiences that prepare us to understand and even embrace what we would have tried to avoid at any cost. It can take time to become ready to deal with the pain that arises and to recognize uncomfortable truths, even though it is a good kind of pain that frees you and will eventually end rather than keep you trapped in a loop of repetitive suffering. Guya Kwali, Guya, Guya Kali dwells in the shadows, in the cremation grounds, in the places less accessible, emotionally and psychologically. These are the interior realms where only the most committed adepts dare to venture. This is deep in your shadow spaces. The further you go into your shadow, the more courage you will find. The more courage you find, the further you will enter into a space of reunification with your most potent capacity. We do not choose her. When we are ready, she chooses us. When we enter into an experience that shakes the foundations of our current understanding, there is often a period of disbelief, shock, and confusion that precedes newfound clarity. You may feel that your entire world has been turned upon its head when a revelation takes us beyond the breaking point of what once provided emotional or psychological safety. We are catching a glimpse of her handiwork. So you're being pushed beyond what you can comprehend. You're being pushed beyond what has allowed for you to feel safe to some degree. You're being pushed into an area of yourself where you're about to find out just how powerful you are. Okay. This is why we need holding by someone, not in the old way, but by an enlightened witness who shows up as a therapist, healer, or spiritual teacher, a mentor, or even a friend evolved enough to know how to love, empower, and be in wisdom rather than try to rescue you. That's so important to know. I'm very grateful for friends in my life who don't try and rescue me from the events that unfold for my benefit, events that are difficult. Instead, these friends, they empower me through their presence, they encourage, they inspire, they hold space, they show me kindness when I don't feel I deserve any. And then they remind me to get back up and save myself. That's powerful. If you are enough of a spiritual badass to have attracted Guya Kali, then no matter how difficult things may temporarily be, you can be sure you don't need rescuing. You just need support and presence as you take the steps now necessary. See what I'm saying? These are teachings in the Guya Kali Tantras that depict her seated upon her lion seat or Simhasana, which is a posture in the physical practice of yoga that releases negative energy. Her appearance is not merely for stirring things up. I love to stir things up. I'm joking. That's totally a joke. Yeah. There are systems that are comfortable at one level, but at another, we are holding a lot of negative energy which needs to be discharged. Her appearance lets us know that whatever is being challenged by our new perspectives has been a source of negative energy in our lives. Ooh, let me read that again. Her appearance lets us know that whatever is being challenged by our new perspectives has been a source of negative energy in our lives, even if we believed it was a support. So you're going to be shown quite a bit in this period. You're going to be shown about the people in your life. You're going to be shown about the process that you're in, how to liberate yourself, what liberation actually is and what it feels like, and what coercion and domination is being done to you in a very covert manner.
We don't have to dismiss or disregard what has been, nor be ungrateful for all we learned from it. However, it is time to realize the true nature of certain circumstances, to take off rose colored glasses and see things for what they are. Her scimitar shows her ability to be free from conditioning so that deeper mysteries can be understood. Her mace shows her power, strength, and authority. Look at her. She's badass. Including her capacity to deliver powerful blows that will destabilize false structures and help us discover truth when we are ready and capable of bearing witness to it. Her two hands in blessing reassure us that we shall be able to recognize, process, and prosper from the truth, and we do not need to fear the revelations unfolding in our lives. This is Kali, after all. If she rocks your world, it is to till the soil of the soul so that abundant new life can flourish. Woo! This part, her capacity to deliver powerful blows that will destabilize false structures and help us discover truth when we are ready and capable of bearing witness to it. You're about to see some profound things for yourself about yourself. This is a time where you need to allow the preparations that soul has in mind. These preparations are things, experiences that will very much get you to the other side. And the other side is where you now belong. You've outgrown the space you're currently in. Allow yourself, allow the movement, allow the change, allow the flow. Everything's going to be okay. Everything is going to be perfectly okay. Guys, I got to get going. Find me on TikTok. If you haven't already, find me there. I'm going to be going live and I'm going to be talking about some serious stuff that I cannot say here on YouTube. I'm going to go live in a little bit. I need to eat my first meal of the day. I just realized I haven't eaten. I have to eat and then I'll go live on TikTok. So find me there. I'm Emmy Evolving across all social media. And if you haven't already, please give this video a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe. Turn on that notification bell, even though YouTube will not give you any notifications. That's fine. That's fine. But join me every time I'm live. I'm usually live pretty much every day. Usually, unless something's happening. And even if something's happening, sometimes I'm live then too. So I will see you guys again very soon. I hope everyone has an amazing rest of your day. Bye, everybody.